Eden Koz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. P.S. Just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a psychological empath, meditation master, dimensional healer, all the things to help you within this ascension. To learn more about me, visit me at edenjustbe.com. And let's get this party started. Okay.
Is this going to be on FluffTube or?
FluffTube?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I wind up a little bit. Get ready.
Okay.
Oh, and like a news reporter now we officially get started. Eden, hello. Just Be Spiritual Boom in association with the Grassroots Warrior Network. Welcoming with me, Kris. Kris, please say hello. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Hopefully they're doing well. And just to give a quick nod before I read your bio, and I'm going to talk about a couple things before we start. We are going to talk about tarot and more. And you're my first guest. We've talked about tarot before, but the first guest that this is your jam specifically. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. And we met, I wanted to give a quick nod to Sherry Diband through the RMS Creative Learning Center, which is how we connected. And before I get into Kris's bio, I wanted to point out my shirt for those of you who are listening, for those of you who are watching. Here it is. As y'all know, there's a bunch of swag coming your way from my website. So my shirt today says very gently, Michelle is the man. And if you don't know what that means, I would encourage you to look it up. And I talked to Kris before. I'm like, hey, Kris, I'm going to wear this shirt today. Is that cool with you? She's like, yes. And as I've discussed, some of the shirts are 3D to 5D Great Awakening. And then there's some more controversial ones. And this one, for those of you who can't see, the name is larger and then is a man is smaller, because the point of this is just to raise questions. Like if anyone asked me what my shirt means, I would say, well, what do you think it means? And I would leave it at that. Super fun. Now, let me read about this beautiful person who's sitting to my left. Kris's formal background is in nutrition. She's worked in healthcare. Woo! We're going to talk about that for 12 years. She studied dietetics at Montclair State University in New Jersey. On the other hand, she has been reading tarot cards since high school and comes from a Starseed family. Her great-grandmother was a gifted tarot reader and medium, and many of her family members are healers, mediums, and intuitives. She always grew up being aware of spirituality since childhood, and her mother encouraged her gifts to flourish and guide her, which is awesome because that doesn't happen all the time. She studied tarot with, tell me if I've got this right, Ashla Yardley? Is that correct?
Ashla Yardley.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Can you tell us about her for just a second for those who aren't familiar with tarot? And I'm not that familiar as well.
I don't know. Some of you may know or may not know, but she's very good friends with Janine, Tarot by Janine.
Mm-hmm. I'm aware of her.
And she has her website. She teaches, she has her classes that she teaches. She also teaches an ancestry class as well. I did take that class. But she's great. She also has an alumni group. When we meet up, we try to do it. She tries to do it like once a month. So if you took her classes, you can join the alumni group and practice tarot with her.
And this group, I'm assuming, is some of them are probably years.
She hasn't had this I think it's been about a year that she's had this alumni group.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really it's great. It's amazing. It's really amazing. If you're into tarot, I really encourage you to take her class.
Okay, do a quick description of what tarot is and why you love it.
Tarot to me, it really is, it's just basically a tool, and it's not really so much about um knowing the future, because really there's different timelines and different possibilities, and
Mm.
really at this point in time, it's really difficult to like pinpoint like, okay, such and such a thing is going to happen. What it really is to me is a tool to help you grow and grow your own intuition. So it's really about yourself. Um, and then when you are reading the cards for somebody else, it's more about, guiding them, um, you know, using it as a guide rather than, focusing on, okay, what's going to happen tomorrow? Because it's really kind of like, for me, it's more
Yeah.
about the present.
Okay. And what is your favorite deck? Do you have a favorite?
I mean, I use this deck, which is the Rider Waite deck. It's a basic deck. I've
Hmm.
also been using my goddess cards as well.
Ooh, nice.
Um, and they just work very well together.
Okay.
But there are different decks. The one that I used to teach my class was for the kids, was I have, it's like a child's, it's for children. I don't have it with me here, but
Okay, so
it's
this goes back to Armis Creative Learning Center. That
yes,
again, that
yes.
it's a 5D school for kids. All right, so you used a deck with them.
Yeah, I used that deck, and like pretty much promoted that deck because when you're teaching children, there are certain pictures in the deck where it's like, kind of, like there's a naked woman in the deck, and like, so I'm kind of like, you want to make it G-rated. You're not R-rated, like,
Yes. Okay, get a quick nod. We texted about this a little bit. Okay, so you were in the healthcare world for a while because we're going to talk about that in terms of the Great Awakening too. What are you doing right now? And because I know you stated you really want to start teaching tarot. What are you doing at this moment? What are your dreams? Because I
um
know things have changed for you.
well, in a perfect world, what I would like to do is maybe just work part-time, like work, to have a steady paycheck, and then work on my business on the side. That would be like my goal.
Okay, so your
Like
tarot
doing
business.
tarot. Um, I think for me, my niche is children, like teaching kids. That's where I feel my real niche is.
Because who does that?
No one, not many people.
Yeah. Yeah, because the one thing about Sherry DeVan School, which I really love, is all these spiritual practices that have been squashed down for so long, that is our soul, that is, and to be able to teach kids from a young age, because I started this spiritual stuff when I was in my late 20s. If I'd had this growing up as a kid, oh my gosh, what would that look like right now? So that is really, really neat. All right. So let me ask you, Kris, how did you start to see that the Great Awakening was going on, or that we're in a falsity or in a matrix? Yeah. How did that become clear to you? Have you always known to some level?
Okay, well, it was about 2008. Um, I had this experience. I was doing Reiki on a friend of mine, and we both went into, how can I explain it? Sort of like a place, but it was something that both saw it, and was kind of like, we saw all this white, and was kind of like being in a cloud where everything and nothing existed. And I remember standing there, he was laying on the massage table, and I had my hands on his head,
Yeah.
and we kind of were like, it kind of felt like we were floating, and we got like these downloads, and we kept seeing the numbers 777, like repeated 777. And then we got the message, these are the children of light. And then after I was done with the session, we talked, and I said to him, I said, I told him this is what I saw, and he says, "Oh, I saw the same thing."
Oh, neat.
And we were both, I, I it, it's like I can't even explain with words. We were like amazed, like what just happened here? We
Yeah.
we didn't had no idea what happened. I had no idea what that meant at all. And I just kept thinking, the children of light, what is this? I don't understand what this means. So I called my aunt. My aunt lives in Florida, and I told her what happened. And she said, and I told her about the number 777. And she said, "Oh, seven, that's my number." And I was like, "What? What?" And then, and then years later, when we went through the whole, COVID thing and everything like that, it started to make sense. And I'm like, oh, wait, the children of light, it does mention the children of light are mentioned in the Bible. So I figured out that it was, they were talking about star seeds. That's what the message I was getting. I was getting that I am a star seed.
Did you know what that was at the time?
No, I had no idea. I didn't know. It was like a half awakening because it wasn't a full awakening. It was like I was like half awakened.
Okay, like a gradual. And your aunt that you're talking about, because I'm going to put this down, is that the aunt that has a retreat center in Florida?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you knew you could go to her and be like, "Hey, what's up? What's up with this?"
Y- Right, right. I mean, I don't think she fully knew either.
Yeah.
Um, but I ended up going from that experience, through that friend of mine. I ended up going to Sedona, to Arizona, because he was back in New Jersey, and then he ended up going back there, and I went there, and I was like, oh wow, I love this place, I loved it. And I wanted to move out there, but then I didn't, I ended up not moving. Um, so, it was, but it was quite an experience.
So have you had an experience like that since then? Or that was the pivotal one? Not that
Oh
the
yeah,
other ones, but that was the big.
I've had different, like, so many
Oh
excuse me, so
gosh.
many different experiences, downloads, I it's just, I've like so many, but after that, that was like a pivotal moment
Mhm.
where, it's just things just spiritually opened up for me.
All right. So I want to know. I also want to know about being in healthcare during jibby jabbies and all that stuff. Yet you doing, but you're also in nutrition, which was it a I don't know how to say this, astringent nutrition or alternative nutrition, being in healthcare and seeing everything that you've seen. How did you make that work?
Um, yeah, I mean, the what I was doing, I was a nutrition assistant because I didn't go for my internship. So I ended up just being a nutrition assistant for 12 years. And you know, I learned a lot. Um, good and bad things,
Yeah.
positive and negative things. But I really did see how bad the system is. I mean, I've, seen people die, die from chemo. I've seen a lot of sad stuff. Um, but, at the same time, I've also met people that heal themselves. Not very many, maybe like a handful of people.
Mm.
I've come across that when I did work in the hospital, and they said, "Hey, I'm a cancer survivor. I cured myself. I cured myself through sound therapy. I did this, and that."
Neat.
So, there's positive and negatives. But, for me, for myself, I don't think I would not go back to healthcare. I would never go back to, I'm definitely, I definitely promote more holistic, natural alternatives, um, to healing, because we have everything we need to heal ourselves. It's just a matter of finding it and finding what works with your body, because everybody's different. Everybody has different needs, especially when it comes to supplementation and minerals and all that stuff, different foods. People suffer from, you know, food allergies. You know, one person might need a certain amount of protein where another person might need a different amount of protein. So it's like um, I can't say that, you know, eating vegetarian for one person is good for the other person. I'm more about like intuitive type of eating,
Yes.
whatever your body needs. There's some people out there, they're like, no, you have to be a vegan, no, 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 no.
Right, because one size doesn't fit all, and yeah, I
Right,
taught many class because my background, I guess you would say, is meditation, so mindfulness, and then taught a lot of classes in mindful eating, and it's really I've noticed with so hard for people to, I've restricted myself from this and I can't do this. And when we start class going, you got to let all that go. There are no more restrictions anymore because you really got to find out what makes you tick. It is the hardest thing for people to do because they're so used to, I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, yes, you can. And once you stop fighting it, then you get that balance. But yeah, it's going to be challenging for a little bit. And the same thing, no diet works for any one person. Holy
right.
smokes. Yeah, and I'm sure okay, tell me when so you were in the hospital setting during COVID.
Yeah, uh, I was working during COVID, and you know, I it was actually the quietest. It was very quiet working during that time, but it was very strange.
Yeah,
Um,
please explain
it
because
was
that doesn't make
very odd.
sense. Yeah.
I remember right before COVID, going up to one of the floors, and just all the patients, it's like everybody on that floor was
Mm.
coughing. So I remember just grabbing a mask because I was like, okay, I don't want to catch what they have. Um, and then like maybe I think it was maybe a month later, they announced this thing called COVID.
Mm.
And I remember I got sick prior to that. Uh, my daughter got sick. Everybody was sick, but we didn't know what it was. And then, the whole COVID, and everybody was panicking, and, including myself. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Because nobody knew what was happening. Um, and then, I remember at the hospital, they converted the cafeteria, which was really weird. Okay. They converted the cafeteria into rooms. like
Mhm.
partially. Um, and then they weren't letting anybody into the hospital. Like I'm trying to remember, they were, I think it was only like for close family members or something. I
Mhm.
remember it was just less people walking around in the hospital. Um, and it was just, we had to wear the masks like 24/7.
Ooh.
That was really uncomfortable. Um, but then after after a while, I quit my job because I knew what was going to happen. Because they were going to make the COVID vaccine a requirement. So and they had already made the flu shot a requirement, which I tried to get out of. I actually did get out of that a couple times.
Mhm.
But then they made it where it wasn't a requirement, but then they made it a requirement. And then, I ended up having to get it. But then, so I said to myself, I'm like, I know what's going to happen, so let me get out of here now because let me not stay here.
Mhm.
There were so many reasons to leave.
Was there a high amount of fear there during all of this too?
Um, well, I think I left I'm trying to remember. It was in 2020. It was November of 2020. So I think the year after they made it like mandatory or something.
Mhm.
So I left like way before because I
Oh,
knew I knew what was gonna happen.
you knew it was inevitable.
Yeah, I knew it. So I'm like, you
Mhm.
know what? I'm out of here. I'm not gonna be around for this.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like my intuition saved me. Um, and I know some dietitians uh that tried to that I don't know if they're still working there, but when
Mhm.
I wasn't working there after I had quit, um, a couple dietitians said they were trying to, get out of getting the thing in the arm. So, but a lot of them weren't fighting it, which I was so surprised. I heard a lot of the
Yeah.
dietitians, they said they were going to fight it, and then they ended up not fighting it.
So most dietitian folks, I guess is the best way to say it, were most of y'all not for it being
I don't
mandated?
know. At
I'm
that point,
just
I was
curious.
gone, but I think a
Okay.
lot of them did get it.
Okay. So I know like in Ohio and that you could with the mandates, religious regions you could get an exemption, consciousness, did I say that right? Consciousness, and then health reasons. Did y'all have anything in New Jersey, or do you know? Because luckily, I was on a committee where we knew about it, and everybody had forms, and so you weren't alone in doing that.
I think there was a form for a religious exemption.
Okay.
I don't know if it was accepted. I'm not really sure.
Ooh, it's against the law if it's not.
Yeah.
All right. So when you left, did you have a plan, or were you just like, okay, I'm just gonna quit and see what comes next, or
Um, yeah, I mean, at that point, I was looking for jobs, was
ooh,
sending out my resume for months. Um, but I was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna take a chance here because I was stressed out. I was burnt out,
yeah,
and it's very common for people in healthcare to get burned out.
yeah.
Um, and I said, you know what? I don't care at this point. I'm just gonna take a chance because I felt as though I cannot find a new job
Mhm.
stressed out like this. Like, because it's just toxic. I need to detox for a month, you know, because you want to attract something good for yourself. You want to be in a good state of mind in order to manifest something better.
Mhm.
So I just took a chance. I quit my job. And then 2 weeks, no, maybe a week later, I get a phone call from a recruiter and she says, "Oh, are you available to work?" I was like, "Yeah." And I didn't miss a paycheck. And and then when I did quit, I gave my boss, I gave her like 2 weeks notice. I
Mhm.
sent her an email and I gave her 2 weeks notice. And then I think it was like on a Friday that I sent the email. And then when I was home, I think it was on yeah, it was that Monday. She, I think she called me. Yeah, she called me and she says, "Oh, you don't have to come in for your last 2 weeks. We'll pay you for it."
Okay.
And I was just like, "Yes,
Ah.
yes, I don't have to go
Yes,
back to
thank
work."
yes. Oh. Okay, so it really when you made the decision, didn't have to work your final 2 weeks, and then ended up getting called by a recruiter, so bam, you went straight back. And with the new work that you were doing, knowing in healthcare at that time, did you get the shot? Did you end up going to places that didn't require that or they
Yeah, it
didn't
was it was
ask?
the new job was remote, so
Oh, nice.
it wasn't required, but it was still like in healthcare.
Okay. Oh, remote. That's
Yeah, but it was a
wonderful with
remote
that.
job.
Okay. What was it like? Because my studio's at home. So to wear a mask and knowing that doing that is so well, also being, your facial how it to the things that you glean from someone without talking, just looking at their face, and then your teeth and that breath and all the bacteria. What was that like doing that constantly?
It was it wasn't fun. I was constantly like pulling down my mask so I
Oh.
could breathe,
Mhm.
especially when we were in the office. Not
Mhm.
so much when we were upstairs visiting patients, but when we were in the office, I would just like,
Mm.
pull it down.
Mhm.
I mean, because you're really not supposed to wear a mask, the same mask all day long. You're supposed to like change it. You're supposed to, throw it in the garbage, change it
Ooh.
because all that bacteria is right here and that's not sanitary.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
a lot of people don't know that or they don't realize that.
Right, and there was that one point of double masking, triple masking, and I don't think I ever of course, I didn't really listen to this stuff because I didn't do it, but yeah, I don't think there was anyone instructing you, "Oh, you need to change your mask every couple of
No,
hours." I don't think any of that was ever
no, no.
because, again, the whole plan of it is just to make you sick anyway, so
Right, exactly. And there
there
was a
you go.
shortage of masks.
Oh.
So we had to, some of us are wearing the same masks for like 2 days.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Just the paper ones?
Yeah.
Or okay. Ooh. Ooh, okay, well, there we go, striking up to healthcare again. Very nice. Hey, I want to detour unless there's more to talk about this. In terms of, you wrote this, I think this is so interesting. So, growing up in a family of starseeds, the family curse, and your great grandmother. Can you talk more about that? And thank you so much for sharing
Okay.
your experience at the hospital. That was
Sure, no
I want to
problem.
say delightful, but it wasn't really delightful. But anyway, yeah, tell me about your family. Let's hear it.
My great grandmother, she was born in Cuba, and the she was like how can I don't know how to explain it. She was very well known in the family, like the matriarch, I guess.
Mm,
And she had special powers, abilities, intuition, um, very extremely, extremely, extremely intuitive. I mean, she could just pick up the phone, talk to somebody, and then just start telling them like their life story. She was taught by gypsies to read tarot. I don't like I didn't even know that there were gypsies in Cuba. And my mom told me this like maybe a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't remember too much about her because she died when I don't know when she died. I think I might have been 11, 12 when she
Hmm.
died, around there, or 13. I can't remember. She lived to about, like, she was in her 90s when she passed away. But and I've had dreams about her. Um, she's talked to me, and I've had other family members that, that are have I have currently I have other family members that have the abilities. Well, my grandmother, she just passed recently. She passed in September.
Oh.
That's on my grandfather's side.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sorry, not my grandpa. What am I saying? She's my grandmother. She's obviously my mother's side of the family. But she was born in Mexico. And she came from the Yucatan. And she has a Mayan ancestry.
Mm.
She also had mediumship ability as
Okay.
well. So yeah, so my great grandmother was on my grandfather. That was my grandfather's mother. Um, and
So was this accepted in your family? I guess, I mean,
yes,
okay. So it's just like, oh, and what does that mean, accepted, where this is, so talking about great grandmother, this is just who she is, or oh my gosh, this is really, really neat. Was it, how was it embraced or just accepted?
yeah, just accepted. We talk about our experiences. Um, my mom, she's like a gifted healer.
Wow.
She's a retired massage therapist. Uh, my my aunt's an acupuncturist. Um, she lives in Florida, and she's also a medium. Uh, I have an uncle that's also I mean, he's really gifted.
Wow.
And he's just hasn't really done much with it, but he really, I mean, when he sees spirits, like he sees all of the details. Just like, I don't see that. But yeah, he's got like really some really great gifts.
So why did you, I'm going to go back for a second, when you talked about your great grandmother contacting you, why was that so heartfelt for you?
um because like it was during a time where I was having difficulty,
Mm,
and she kind of made me feel at ease.
really great.
Yeah.
All right. So what with growing up having this all around you, what was that like?
Um, it was well, my mother, like, she was the one that encouraged me, and would ask me questions, and um, and especially because I grew up as a Catholic, and I went to private school, and I had questions about like what they would say, like they
Yeah.
would tell us, like, and kind of scare us too,
Hmm.
and say, "Oh, the world is gonna end," that type of stuff, and I would come home crying, and I was so confused. I was like, "Oh my God," and then my mom would say, "No, the world is not gonna end. It's no, that's not what's gonna happen," Um, and just questions about God, and is God really a man? Things like that. Like,
Hmm.
who is God? What's a soul? Things like that. Um, and my mother was, this was like in the 80s. My mom was into meditation. and who nobody was into meditation back then.
Mhm.
And she would go with the priest of our church. She would go and like to hospitals and pray over people and stuff like that. And then she would always say, why does why does he always, like, meaning the priest that she used to go with,
Mhm.
he's always used to talk about like hell and damnation and stuff. And she would tell him, why do we have to focus on that? Why are you focusing on that? Why aren't you focusing on love? Like on,
Mm.
the teachings of Christ. Christ taught love. And like nobody focused on that. Nobody knew anything about that. They just knew what was said in church, like, but she was advanced for her
Yeah.
the times.
So how did y'all deal that, especially you being a young child, all the sin and damnation, and then your mom being like, no, let's focus on love. How did you balance that being in school and being around other kids that potentially didn't have what you had?
I think I just probably tuned it out.
Mm. Ooh, good for you. Because that's really hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard, especially you're being supported by your family, which is really. Did you have siblings too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm one of seven.
Oh, gracious. Okay. So very much Catholic family in that. Oh, okay. So everybody was were all of you guys kind of on the same page with everything too?
Well, my parents got divorced and remarried.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, pretty much we're all on the same page.
Oh, that's so great. Okay. And this in terms of your own encounters with spirit. Okay, I don't know how to quite ask this question. Well, knowing you also talked about the awakening for you, and so yeah, your encounters with spirit. What does that mean to you?
Encounters of spirit.
Yeah, and you especially said in your home.
Um, oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about, okay, yeah, that was um okay, so what happened was I was married. I got married in my 20s and we ended up getting divorced. I didn't have children with my ex-husband, and I was living in my family's house, the apartment, one of the apartments. Um, and this was the apartment that I lived in my childhood. Um, so at that point, my ex-husband, had moved out
Hmm.
and I was living there by myself. I started to, it might have been, it probably was that because I was vulnerable, I was like emotionally vulnerable.
Hmm.
Um, I started to experience like paranormal activity. Um, and weird things started happening. Like the front door would open on its own. Uh, the the cabinets. Oh, excuse me. 1 second. I'm getting over a cold. Okay.
Oh, man.
All right. So yeah, just uh and it was like multiple entities that were attacking me. I'm
So it
trying to
did not
remember.
it did not feel good. You were
No,
vulnerable, and it was just ugh.
it was not good.
Okay.
Um and then, like, let's just say I went out with a guy or something, or was interested in a guy, it would never work out. Like they would always like disappear. And
Oh,
yeah,
so even if you like someone.
right, right, right. Or if I was dating them, they would just like disappear.
Hmm.
And I had never had problems with men prior to that.
Hmm.
I always attracted really nice guys. You know, my ex-husband was really nice.
Hmm.
You know, so I'm like, what is going on here?
Hmm.
So I called my aunt. I also went to a friend of mine that was like a medium. She was like a trained medium. And they both said the same thing. They were like, there is something in that house that, well, especially my aunt, she said, you need to move out of there.
Let
Because
me interrupt for a moment. It's so nice that you have people that you can go to like that. That's cool. All right. So your aunt said basically you got to get out of
yeah, you need
that
to get
place.
and I would clear the place, I would sage it, and then it would just come
Didn't
back.
matter.
Yeah. And I remember once my sister was staying with me
Yeah.
and she had her computer on and it was like in the middle of the night and she told me that she started hearing voices through the computer,
Ooh.
like creepy voices.
Okay.
And I remember at that point my aunt she was doing some kind of like protection over me
Yeah.
so that I could leave, and they were attacking my sister.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got out of there. So, long story short, I got out of there.
And once you got out of there, everything was okay. So literally it
Yeah,
didn't follow you or
yeah, things got better.
okay. So I've had some interaction with spirits that are not so nice. What was that like? Like I know it wasn't good, but how long did it last?
Trying to think. Let's see. Uh, I think it lasted like a year or two.
Oh my gosh, that's a
Yeah,
long time.
but it took
Holy
me a while to figure out
right.
what it was.
Good gracious.
It was not, there were days that I would wake up with like a panic attack.
So what do you think of that experience now in your life?
I'm just happy I'm over it. I'm really happy I'm over it.
Well, I'm happy that you're over it too. Oh my God, yeah. Well, I do want to ask in terms of tarot back in your life, why, given your family and the connection to spirit and to I want to say it's not the other world, but these dimensions that are here with us right now, why do you gravitate towards that?
Towards
Why?
tarot.
Yeah. What is the connection with you there?
I definitely done it before in a past life.
So does it seem really easy to you? Very
Yeah, it was
natural?
very easy. When I was a teenager, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I just picked it up very easily. I didn't even know I didn't even know what the tarot cards meant, like what each card meant. I think I had a book or something, but it was more like I was using my intuition.
Mhm.
Um, because in tarot, it's okay, you will like you'll know you study what each card means, but then there's that also other part, the second part where you use your intuition, where it's just intuition.
Okay. So how'd you even get a deck? Were you just like knowing that your family was more spiritual? Was that around as well? Or,
When I was a teenager, I think I bought it. Trying to remember where did I get the deck? I think I must have bought it it's in like one of those, they're like Spanish mystical stores, like they're called botanicas.
Interesting. Okay, and I'm guessing because your grandmother used tarot that y'all were all familiar with it too, so it wasn't like a total stretch or because in a
Yeah,
lot of religions that's kind of seen as evil as well to
yeah.
me.
Um, I think my mother might have had like a deck or something like that,
Okay.
just lying around
Okay.
when I was a kid.
All right. So when you started doing it in high school, did you start doing it for yourself or for friends or how did that come to be?
Yeah, I started doing it for my friends. And then the teacher would, I think it was like one of my teachers yelled at me and said, "Put that away."
Oh, were you in Catholic school still during this?
No, I was not. I
Okay.
was in public school
Okay.
during high school.
And you were
Yeah, if I was in
actually
Catholic
doing it
school,
at
that
school.
would have been
Uh,
bad.
yeah, they would not have. So you were doing it at school visibly, and one of your teachers said, "No, we're not going to do that here."
Yes, exactly.
So what did you do with that?
I just put it in my backpack.
And you did it at home. You had people come
No,
to
I
your house
still
not
brought
do.
I kept bringing it to school, but I just didn't, you know, take them out.
Okay. All right. So knowing you always had a natural propensity towards that, did you in your dietitian world, did you still continue with it or did you put it on the back burner for a while and now you're opening more into it?
Right, yeah, I put it on the back burner. And then
Oh,
yeah, and then when I started taking Ashalla's classes, it came back into my life.
okay. Is that when you started getting more serious about it? Is that the best way to say
Yes.
it? Or like this is
Yeah.
all right, so let me ask you this. So in in my work, very spiritual work, I at this point, well, I've been doing this where it's my company since 2007. So I couldn't imagine not having it because it was something that I started in my late 20s, but it didn't go away. It started and now it's going to be. So it wasn't something, oh, I'm 12 or 14 and this has come and then I'm going to not be in it for a while and come back. I because it is me. So with you reclaiming this for yourself, what does that what does that feel like? Because I'm feeling it with you too. Like it's like stuck all over you. Like, oh, there's a piece here. There's a piece here. It feels so intrinsic to your being. What's that like knowing that you're going to be moving more into it now and teaching kids?
It just feels like something natural to me.
Mhm.
It's like breathing.
And then tell me about teaching kids. Why does that feel like your niche?
Well, I've seen, I think probably 2 years ago, I've been
Yeah.
seeing in my own cards that that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm
Oh,
going to be
wow.
teaching children.
Do you find that they're incredibly receptive?
Well, so far I've only had one student. Uh
Okay. Well, there's one. What was that like?
yeah, that was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And I
Were
could
they very
really
receptive
see
to you?
myself. Yes, I definitely can see myself doing it. Not just teaching tarot, probably teaching other stuff too as well.
Okay. Like what?
Um, I was thinking of well, I know Sherry wanted me to teach the numerology, and I was also thinking of doing like a, a Tesla class.
Ooh, like on the history of Tesla?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
neat. And I know you said you did Reiki before.
Yeah,
Is
I'm a
that
Reiki
something just kind of
master,
in your
but
wheelhouse?
yeah, I haven't really been doing anything with that. I haven't been
Okay.
practicing it.
Very awesome. I am thinking we can go to the Just Be practice, yet is there anything because I have a list the the birth of your daughter that and I don't know if that's a huge story. Do you feel like we
Oh
can
yeah, that's
cover
another.
that a little bit and then do the practice?
Sure.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that was also, like a total, like ego death.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, I had some trouble with her biological father.
Hmm.
It ended up turning into domestic violence.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah. And I ended up having to leave New Jersey. And like I ended up going to Illinois where my mom lives.
So were you pregnant at the
And
time?
yes.
Whoa. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, but that was, I mean, she is a complete like blessing in my life.
Oh, oh,
And she totally healed me. Uh,
oh.
yeah. So like what happened was, I met her biological father, and it was a short-lived relationship, and he got intoxicated one night.
Hmm.
We ended up going like out to a bar. He was like totally really intoxicated, and he was getting like trying to start a fight with somebody at the bar, and I couldn't like control him. And he had mental issues, which I didn't know about.
Hmm.
And I ended up leaving. I got into a cab and left. And at the time, I was living with him. It wasn't very long that I was living with him. And then he came back, and, he was angry, and, he got physical. Uh, and I ran into the bathroom. I was on the phone with the police, and he punched a hole through the bathroom door.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah. And at that point I was like, all right, he's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
That's what ran through my head. I'm like, all right, you know what? If I die tonight, like in a split second, it's like
Hmm.
my life flashed through my eyes, and I'm like, you know what? If I die tonight, I've had a good life, And so he punched the door. He saw
Wow.
that I was on the phone.
Yeah.
He just kind of like went into the living room and sat down. And I waited for the police to come.
Okay, so wait a minute. He punched a hole, saw you were on the phone.
Yeah.
Somehow that calmed him down because he
Yeah.
knew you were doing, and he
Yeah.
went to sit and wait for arrival or whoever was going to come.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the cops came, and they were talking to me. They talked to him.
Mhm.
Um they were putting him in handcuffs.
Oh.
Uh and then one of them said, "Your face is swollen." And I was like, "What?" I didn't even and honestly, when he was putting his hands on me, it was
Mhm.
like almost like I was out of my body. Like I didn't even know what almost like I didn't even know what was happening. Like it's like I just separated myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like he hit me that hard.
Mhm.
It's really weird. Um and I looked in the mirror and my face was swollen, and I'm like, "Oh my god." And then reality just like it just hit me. I'm like, "Oh my god." Like it just felt surreal. Like it
Mhm.
wasn't like everything just felt like it wasn't happening to me.
Mhm. And how far along were you with the pregnancy?
I wasn't that far along. At that point, I didn't know that I was.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Ooh.
And so then they took me to the hospital, and that's when they told me, "Oh, you're pregnant." I was like, "Oh my God." I like burst into
That's
tears.
when, oh gracious, that's when you found out. All right. Ooh.
Yeah, I burst into tears.
Ooh.
And then, like uh I remember leaving the hospital. I had to go to the police station. Um they asked me questions, and actually the lieutenant there, I
Mhm.
actually knew him. Yeah.
Mm.
Um And yeah, and then like that same day, I told my family what happened, and they came over and they helped me get all my stuff. They
Oh,
threw it in my car and I went to my sister's house. And then I ended up staying there. I talked to my mom and my mom was like, just leave. You need to leave. You need to come here. So she drove out from Illinois to New Jersey. Um, no, wait, I'm sorry. She didn't drive. Wait, I'm getting the story wrong. She flew. She flew to New Jersey, and then we drove my car out to Illinois, and I was there for like 2.5 years. I had
oh.
I had my daughter there. So and then I decided that I wanted to go back because it wasn't safe for me to go back.
Yeah.
And my guides were telling me like, yeah, you want to go back, but it's not safe for you. It's not going to work out. Like I tried to go back, um, but he, hit my daughter's biological father. He ended up going to jail. Uh, but I ended up going back, and I knew I had to go back
Yeah.
because my soulmate was here.
Uh,
So I ended up
okay.
going back,
Okay.
and I ended up. I'm not even gonna say that I met my soulmate because I already
Yeah.
knew my soulmate
Oh
from the
man.
past. I went to high school with him.
Oh gosh, got it.
So yeah, so we got together. My daughter was about 4 years old.
Hmm.
I was like living, I had my apartment. I came when I came back here, she was 2. So I was like, a single mom for like uh, whatever, a few years.
Hmm.
That was hard. That was really hard. And I got my job back at the hospital. Um, and then I ended up moving in with my soulmate, and here I am.
And here you are. Okay. And how long has that been? How old's your daughter now?
Oh, she's 12. She just turned 12
Okay.
today. Today's her birthday.
Oh my gosh, no way. Oh, isn't that great? Well, happy birthday to
Thank you.
her.
Yeah, she was born on Mother's Day.
Oh, I'm feeling all of that beautifulness. Oh my gosh. Very nice. Thank you for sharing that story, Kris.
You're welcome.
All right, well, let's use that dramatic piece of information to go right into the practice.
Just be
If you were going to
practice.
take a general card out and explain it, which card would you pull and what would you say?
Um, I would say the Empress.
Okay, can you grab that one? Is that an
Sure.
easy one to get?
Oh, here she is.
Okay. All right, so tell us about her.
Oh, this is a great card. Um, the Empress, she embodies everything that is the divine feminine energy. She is kind. She's a nurturer. She's the mother of the tarot. She's also really linked to nature. And she's full of abundance, as you can see. She kind of looks like she's pregnant. She's kindness, abundance. Um, even, I mean, you could say, yeah, she has like an intuitive and an educational aspect to her as well.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's just one of the best cards of tarot.
Wow.
That
So when you get that card, it could mean you need more mothering in your life. Like I'm assuming it could mean so many different things, and that's where your intuition clicks in.
right. Yeah, I mean, like there are certain situations where I associate cards with certain, like certain things, like, for example, like 10 of Swords is like where you've had it, where you've just said, okay, I surrender, you know, I surrender to the universe. I'm done. I can, this is as far as I can go.
Got it.
But when you do tarot, you start making those associations.
Okay. So I guess she's one of your favorites. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you. All right. So I want to, I'll have your YouTube site posted, and you want to just your friend who's in the UK that we're going to put her channel on as well, her tarot card or her tarot channel.
Yes.
Okay. And she's someone that you would recommend?
Yes, she is. Hold on. She just changed her channel because she got taken down.
Okay.
Yeah, FluffTube took her down because it was too much conspiracy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just had it.
So Tarot Tales by Caroline.
Oh, it's right here. Yeah, Tarot Tales United Kingdom. Her
Okay.
handle is at Tarot Tales by Caroline. Yes.
Okay. So she's someone you also respect. Okay. So we'll make sure and put a shout out to her. Okay, Kris, thank you so much for the time and for telling us about you and these moments that you've had. So much appreciated.
Oh, and
Yes.
my YouTube channel, which is Divine Light Readings by Kris.
Mm-hmm.
And
777.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Now that makes sense now. Divine Light Readings by Kris, 777. And it'll
Right.
be posted.
And then the Inner Transformational Center, which that's my aunt in
Mm,
Florida. She's in Dunellen, Florida.
okay.
She has a
Where's,
retreat center.
I'm from Georgia. Where's Dunellen? Where's that?
That's like on more of the west side.
Okay.
It's closer to Tampa.
Near Tampa. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. And she acupuncture specifically? Like that's one of her big.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, her
All
name
right.
is Teresa Stepanoff.
All right. Shout out to all you wonderful people. All right. New Jersey.
All
Signing off
right.
now.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
You're welcome. If you can hang out. Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, True Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So like, subscribe, do it all. See ya.